right, so we thought we would like to do a little bit of education on what it takes to corner, okay? First step is your gear bag. What gear do you bring? So this video is going to be all about what gear do we pack when we corner.
Before we really get into that, as a coach, I go into it with the firm belief that the fighters are training every day to hone their craft to become the best that they can be. And as coaches, we're either usually, martial artists ourselves, this is our craft. But once we get into this stage of the game where we're doing cornering, you have to think of this as another martial art. It's another extension of what you do. And so as a coach, if you're not training in your ability to be a corner, then you're doing a disservice to your fighter. Don't show up day of the event and think that you're suddenly going to do a great job as a corner. Okay? Hone your craft. Practice how to wrap hands before you ever get to the event. I practiced wrapping my own hands hundreds of times before I wrapped my first fighter. I wanted to know exactly what it felt like. I wanted to know what I was doing, how tight I could get them to go, too tight, not tight enough. But you got to hone your craft. Again, don't show up day of and think that we just make it happen. Okay? Prepping and planning ahead of time is what's going to give, just like your fighter should be training well ahead for the fight, you should be prepping as a corner well ahead of the fight. So first parts that we recommend is your buckets. So you can get them from Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace. You can get them from a bunch of different places. It seems easy, but it's happened to us before, unfortunately, in a couple travels where we tried to find some buckets. They're not always easy to travel with.
Yes.
So we went and purchased a travel bucket.
By
the way, we purchased a travel bucket.
Which is so cool.
So that it packs up and goes in my suitcase way easier, okay, than trying to pack one of these.
We recommend having 2 buckets even if you only have 1 fighter.
Woo, I'm telling you right now, one.
It's come in handy.
If you've got multiple fighters and you're in the middle of the cage and somebody throws up,
you need 2 buckets.
if I'm the other fighter, I don't want that bucket. So I'm just saying.
I like logoing our buckets because things get shuffled around.
We have legit had our opponent's group stole all of my gear at a fight and tried to hide it in their area. And luckily, our stuff was identifiable. And so the athletic commission was able to clearly see it was our stuff.
Yes.
And was able to get it back for me.
Yes.
So first part you got to have is make sure that you've got your proper buckets.
Yes.
Okay. Then we start looking at putting together our ice bags. So you have your insulated ice bags. These are good. You can fill them up with ice and a little bit of water. Okay. When you're done using them, though, get these things to dry out because they will get mold and fungus and things of that nature. So when you're done, empty them out, let them dry, and then I typically, for storage, okay, I will twist them up, put the cap back on so that there's little to no air inside, but this is after they're already dry. But these are good. You can fill them up with ice. My concern is, not my concern, but my issue is with them, is this is like an insulated fabric.
So they're not super cold.
They don't get as cold as I would like. So the Ziploc bags, to me, are my money, okay? So I like, when we go in, I like 2 sets, okay? And again, to me, this is 1 set. 2 bags equals 1 set. Everything I do is double layered, okay? The last thing you want to do is have ice spill in your area, and then you're going to be cleaning up and you could be fined and things of that nature. So I like 2 sets of Ziploc, okay? So what I like to do is you take 1 set, fill it up, don't overfill it, fill it up, zip it, suck the air out of it so that what you have is a nice little compact thing. Then I take it, and then I like to go the seam inside so that my seams are opposite of each other. That way, when I put one inside the other and then take the air out and zip it up, okay, then the chances of this one opening up and both of them spilling out the same side becomes much less.
And when we pack a ton of these. We pack,
Yes, pack more
way
than
more
you
than
need.
you think you need.
Okay. So then,
Also with those, it helps with your end swells because the ice is more present and is not insulated.
Right.
You put these, layer them sandwich them between two bags of ice, and they'll get nice and cold for you.
so then I like lots of towels. Now you have to know your jurisdiction. I prefer black towels. Jurisdictions, when you read their instructions, sometimes they will say towel. Sometimes they will say specifically a white towel. Again, know your rules, know the jurisdictions that you're fighting in. I like black towels because let's say the fighter went and they got dinged up and they got a few cuts, okay? If I wipe their face and they see a towel full of blood, it can make the fighter sometimes feel less than stellar, less than confident for their fight. So I like black towels, but again, you have to know your jurisdiction, know what is possible, what's capable. Most jurisdictions have been okay, but when we fought for the UFC and we fought for PFL and we fought for a couple others,
They required the white towels.
They required white towels. I was in, I think it was Maine. The official ruling from Maine's athletic commission says you have to have a towel. It doesn't say what color.
Right.
But when you get there, they're like, no, it has to be white. Well, the letter of the law says that I have to have the towel. It doesn't say what color, but it's not worth arguing with any athletic commission because ultimately speaking, you're not really going to win that fight.
Same thing with the gloves. We like the black gloves. And again, it doesn't show the blood.
Correct. So that way, if I'm working on their face or something of that nature and I pull my hand down, they don't see blood all over my hand. All they see is a wet glove.
Yeah. Now, amateur, they don't require the gloves, but I mean, you're dealing with blood.
Well, no. Here's my thing. Okay. We call it amateur. What's the point of amateur? The point of amateur is to get ready for pro.
Yeah.
So if you're a corner, why are you acting like an amateur?
Yeah.
Why are you doing things that you wouldn't do if it was a pro? This is your practice too.
Yeah.
Hone your craft and take it seriously. Don't sit there and half-ass it for your fighter. You're not doing them the service that they need. Your whole point is in amateur is to learn how to operate so that when you do things as a pro, it's not new. Okay? The only thing that we can't do in amateur that we can do in pro is when it comes to cuts. Is in pro, you can use some coagulants and things of that nature that you can't use as an amateur. As an amateur, we're Vaseline only. Other than that, though, you should be treating each and every fight like it's a pro fight. Do it to the professional standard. And then when the time comes, you're set. When you're doing your job at a pro event, you don't have to change up. You're already done doing everything exactly the way you're supposed to do it. But if you half-ass it and you go into an amateur event and you go, well, it's AMI, it doesn't matter, okay, then you're not getting your practice rounds in either.
Right.
So then we get into our tape and gauze.
Oops, sorry.
Ma'am, that hurts.
I'm sorry.
What are we doing?
I'm looking for your wristband so we could talk about that. Sorry.
So we just broke my toe on camera.
Sorry.
So we could look for a wristband.
Sorry.
Gonna edit this part. Probably not though.
No.
So then we have our tape and gauze. Okay. Ma'am, what are we doing?
I'm still.
Knock it off.
I think I know where.
Stop it.
Okay.
So tape, again, know your jurisdiction and what they will or will not allow. State of Florida, it is 1 inch tape. Not 1.5 inches, not 2 inch. Nevada at the time when Christian fought for the UFC Contender Series, I believe 1.5 inches was allowed. Maine, New England, a couple other jurisdictions allowed for 1.5 inches. In Florida, it's 1 inch. That's what you get. So ultimately, if you show up with 1.5 inches, that is not legal in the state of Florida and some other jurisdictions. But again, do your research. Figuring it out day of is not the way. Do your research ahead of time. Read about what is the requirements. So I have my 1 inch tape. 2 inch gauze is pretty much allowed everywhere. I don't think I've been to a jurisdiction yet.
No.
I've been lucky enough right now to corner in 6 states. And I don't think I've ever had any issues where 2-inch gauze was not allowed. So now the only real question comes down to is I build my pads out of the gauze itself. So as long as I've got my gauze rolls, I'm golden. If you're an individual that uses some of like the cheesecloth and things of that nature to create your secondary pad for the knuckles, then you need to make sure that you have that for you as well. Okay. So again, the 2-inch gauze, 1-inch tape for the state of Florida. And then other jurisdictions, maybe 1.5 inches. I don't think I've seen a jurisdiction that uses 2-inch. So that's what you're going to be using through there. Vaseline.
Hold on. We like to Ziploc bag this for each. So each set of hand wraps is in its own individual Ziploc, and we pack a minimum of 2 per fighter. 2 whole packs per fighter,
Yes.
just in case.
Okay. Then Vaseline, we can't have any additives or anything else. It's got to be just pure petroleum jelly. Whether it's Vaseline or another petroleum jelly, but it's got to be pure. It can't have other stuff in it. So right now, this is just pure petroleum jelly. It's a one ingredient on the list.
And we like the little ones because you get less cross-contamination. If you do get a little blood in it or whatever, you can toss it.
Well, and if I
It's not
lose
a big
this, who
deal.
cares? I'm not carrying on this big
We
wad.
carry a bunch of those.
Okay. Nail clippers. Okay.
Critical.
Don't be that guy or girl that has to bite your nails at the event. We saw one
We've seen
dude
it.
literally started biting his toenails.
Yeah.
Biting his toenails. Clippers. Have them. It's part of your kit. Safety scissors with bullet tips. Okay. There are scissors that have big rolled over ends. I do not recommend those. Trying to slip those in under bands and the like, get good scissors that have the little bullet tips. Don't use regular scissors, and don't use the rounded edge ones. Bullet tips are always best.
Ibuprofen and Tylenol. Have both. Some people are sensitive to one or the other. After the fight, they're going to be a little banged up. It's always good to pre-med with either Tylenol or ibuprofen, whatever their preference is. But that's always critical in the kit too. I've been starting to pack antibacterial wipes. It never fails that in a fight, you and your fighter are going to end up with blood or whatever stuff on you. Stuff. So having an antibacterial wipe where you can wipe down real quick after is a really good idea.
Some areas are
Dark.
super dark. They do a horrible job of giving you a good area to be able to work in the back. So, is my bad? Nope.
I think the battery's out.
Nope.
Oh, there it is.
It's blinky, blinky,
Blinking.
blinky.
So we had headlamps.
So, I have a little headpiece. Let me see if no, I'm turning it.
We
So
had
I have a little
headlamp.
headpiece that I can wear when I am working on my fighter's hands, if I'm in areas of that nature that are horrible.
And you look super
This
cool.
tilts. Yeah, I know. I look super pro. But again, be careful. This thing is super bright when the batteries are really charged up. So I actually put a piece of tape over the top so I don't blind my fighters when we're doing all that stuff.
This was a nifty idea that we saw another corner do, and that's take a pool noodle, slit it, cut, so that you can put it on the chair for your fighter to rest their hand on, because sometimes we get a variety of different chairs in the corners and sometimes they're super uncomfortable.
Very
This
uncomfortable.
just protects your fighter.
You can either use a pool noodle
Or you can use a towel too.
or you can use a towel and then kind of tape it to the...
I swear I threw it in there. I saw it the other day when we got back.
There it
Mitts.
is.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so I've had this literally since the very first fight we've
Yes.
ever done. So
It's just a sweatband, an old school
I put the
sweatband.
sweatband on. I can usually, this is a self-adhesive tape. It's 2 inches wide. You cannot use this for taping hands, but I use it sometimes to tape up my wrist so that I can take my scissors.
He likes the black ones.
I like the black ones with the bullet tip. Okay? And then I take them and I feed them underneath that band. And sometimes I'll put a little bit of Vaseline on top of that pad. Any more lately, I've been taking it from the container. But that's typically what I do through there.
Mitts. Don't forget your mitts. I've done that once.
Yep, have something that they can strike.
Yeah, tie pads, whatever your preference
Depending
is.
on what the sport is that they're doing, you may need to bring either mitts or tie pads if they're kicking or not kicking, or how you like to do it.
They supply water, but we prefer the Squirt Top bottles. Most pro events, you have to crack it there. They have to see an unopened bottle before you can proceed. So have a brand new unopened Squirt Top bottle. It just makes it a lot easier when you're
Squirt Tops are way, way, way easier. We went out on Amazon. I don't think we have it. Yeah, we do. Okay. We bought some Sport Tops.
But they don't fit any standard bottle.
But yeah, they don't fit standard bottles. So we thought we were
had
going
a brilliant idea.
Yeah, we thought we were going to game the system, but ultimately it didn't work.
And having some sort of bag, I've seen people with like toolboxes, with rolling carts, something that you can keep all your stuff together in.
Now, we go with a 2-to-1. We bring 2 packs for every fighter. So if we have 2 fighters on the card, I am set to wrap 4 sets of hands. That way, if for some reason anything happens or an athletic commission says, hey, nope, we're not allowing that, cut all that stuff off, I'm not dead in the water. I have always extras. And then we always bring 2 extra sets above and beyond.
Yes.
So if we have 2 fighters on the card, we actually bring 6 sets to be able to wrap not just our fighters twice, but we have 2 extras just in case. Then typically speaking, when we get there, we all start going and doing our different things to start getting ready. Melissa usually starts doing the ice hunt.
The great ice hunt.
Right. So we have our bucket, and again, we bring lots of towels. So I take my towels. Again, I prefer black, and for this reason, nobody has ever given me any issues. I take my towel, okay, and then I line the bottom to act as insulation. So that now when Melissa, because again, I like 2 sets of Ziploc ice bags. She gives me the first one, and I put it at the very bottom of the bucket. Then I place my end swells. Once, let's imagine this is ice. I put that in. Then I put my end swells on top of the ice.
And then you put an ice bag on top of it.
Then I take the other ice bags, I fill in the gaps. Then I take the other ice bag and I put it on top. So basically, I've created like an ice sandwich.
Yeah.
And I put everything in there. And then, when it's all said and done,
You cover it with towels.
then I cover it with another towel, again, to act as an insulator. We've had events where we've had like 6 guys competing, and this method has allowed us to keep our ice packs pretty much the entire time with ice loading up at almost the very, very first fight.
Yeah.
We've been pretty good.
But that's pretty much it, guys. I think that's
Again, that will carry you through almost
Most.
all of your amateur.
Yeah.
But again,
and most pro.
I can't say it enough. Treat your amateur events like
pro.
they're pro.
Yep.
The goal is to gain experience of how it should be done, not use the excuse that because it's amateur that you're going to act like an amateur. Too many teams out there do this. They know it's an amateur event, and they know they can get away with a lot more shenanigans than they should. But again, they're only doing their fighter, and they're only doing themselves a disservice.
Correct.
The goal of AMI is, 1, to get great competition, but ultimately it's to prepare for professional. It's to prepare your fighter for professional fights, and it's also time for you as a corner to also be preparing for professional fights.
And understand your rules, guys. Most state commissions, especially for pro, do not allow any type of caffeine in the back. They do not allow any alcohol in the back. So make sure that your fighters know what's appropriate to bring, what type of sports drinks they're allowed,
Right.
and make sure your water is approved as well, because there are some electrolyte infused waters that they do not allow cage side.
Correct.
So know that.
Always best, if you're not sure and it's a pro
You can always
or
ask the
sanctioned
commission.
events, talk to your commission.
They're all usually pretty cool. They want you to
Yes.
follow the rules, so they're willing to educate you.
I find it's important anyway, because basically when you do a professional fight, you will have a commission member that will be assigned to your team.
They're up your butt the whole time.
I'm telling you, it is better for you to be prepared. One, okay, if you're doing a pro fight, have all of your sanctioning done well ahead of time. Do
yes.
it before.
Most commissions you can do it online. It's super easy.
Again, prepare for the job you want, not the job you have. You want to be pro, act pro. That's my advice.
Beautiful. I like it.
Boom. Dropped
Boom.
it. There's my mic. See ya.
Bye, guys.